Yeah, this is for people that weren't able to make it today. Okay, can you all hear me okay into the screen? Yeah, okay, so EDI, equity, diversity and inclusion. I'm just going to talk through some definitions to start with. So equity is the quality of being fair and impartial based on where an individual is at. The official term in RSPB is actually equality, but there is a difference in equality and equity, which I think this picture describes really well. So equality is giving everybody the same treatment, but equity is giving people fair treatment depending on what their specific needs are. And in the end, everybody has the same, is on the same standing kind of thing. So I think this explains it really well. Diversity is the importance of teams to have a diversity of genders, race, ethnicities, ages, class, sexuality, language, learning or communication styles, education backgrounds, and so on. Nature is diverse and needs everyone. I went a bit mad making all these slides, like have different animals and stuff to reflect diversity. So I got my fun today. So here's a picture of diversity. The I part of EDI is inclusion. So there's a quote here that says, diversity without inclusion is like being invited to a ball, but having no one ask you to dance. So yeah, inclusion is more than diversity. Diversity, it can be about representation, but inclusion is actually about involving. So the definition of that is around the importance of teams to appropriately support diversity to happen. So you could have a diverse team, but does everybody feel equally able to engage as a team member kind of thing? And often not, and it's our unconscious biases that prevent that from happening. Why does it apply to this group? Why am I talking to it about it? So in the EDI report by RSVB in 2019, this is a quote from it: "Like nature, our survival depends on diversity. Nature has no borders and neither do we. We recognise that everyone is individual and different and value what that difference brings to the RSPB. We want to support everyone to unlock their potential and better reflect the communities in which we work." From the RSPB, following George Floyd's death in May, and all the BLM marches, RSPB has taken steps to tackle our white dominant culture. And so although it was already very much present within RSPB, it kind of has been amplified, and it was really wonderful to see, actually, because RSPB didn't put out a statement like in line with the Black Lives Matter marches, and a lot of people within the organisation complained about it and spoke to the kind of very top of RSPB, and they responded really well. And that was really nice to see that was listened to at every level kind of thing. So now we're working with an organisation called Full Colour that are showing us how to be more actually inclusive, because you can write it in a report that we're diverse and stuff, but are we actually in real life, and what does that actually mean kind of thing. So there's a lot of self-scanning and self-analysis going on within the organisation, and a result of that is then wanting our volunteer groups as well to feel diverse and inclusive. But beyond that, it's not just about RSPB being diverse and inclusive. Hopefully it doesn't come across as us just trying to look good and stuff. It's more coming from a place that the environmental movement in general is very white dominated, and that doesn't make any sense because we need everybody to have a movement. So here's just something I'll just read out. The only sustainable and appropriate environmental movement is one within the intersectional approach that considers ethics, politics, and social justice. Social justice is a term and principle that links human rights and developments to achieve a human-centered approach safeguarding the rights of the most vulnerable people and sharing the burdens and benefits of climate change and its impacts equitably and fairly. And as I said, this needs a bottom-up and top-down approach. So us bringing the ethics of social justice and awareness of unconscious bias into our local SWIFT group is how we create a bottom-up approach. And hopefully that will ripple across different sectors as well. And it's uncomfortable, obviously. A lot of people have not addressed this sort of thing before. So while no one has a precise prescription of how to eradicate racial injustice in the workplace, I firmly believe that a critical first step is embracing the difficult conversations and uncomfortable truths that we've become too accustomed to avoiding. So as I said, like the environmental movement is particularly white dominated, and we need to look at why that is and how we can support that to not happen. Why does this, yeah, so what do we need to consider within our group? We're going to come up after this with a group agreement so that we can create ways that everybody feels like they're able to participate. But before we do that, we're going to consider what ways people might feel excluded. This was something taken from the Harvard Business Review. I tried to find like the least like radical definition of inclusivity and the different like unconscious bias that exists. So what can happen, we're going to be doing a lot of group meetings and working groups and I just want to bring awareness of what can often happen in those situations that can make people feel unwelcome or different in the group or unsafe and then want to disengage from the whole project kind of thing. So if we have that awareness to start, then hopefully it will carry through. So just a wee quote. In many cases, one alpha individual dominates the conversation. In other cases, there's an in-crowd or a group of allies who share commonalities such as gender, personal interests, or job seniority. The in-crowd often takes up more space in the room, supports the same ideas, and speaks up inordinately, drowning out different viewpoints. Regardless of specifics, it's your job to step in when strong personalities overreach, tamp down offenders, and actively bring all voices into the conversation. So that's just bringing the idea of like, yeah, I'm facilitating and delivering some presentations, but it is everybody's responsibility to kind of support everybody to feel like they can speak and to kind of moderate each other to not dominate too much. Examples of in crowds that can dominate, and these are obviously stereotypes, but yeah, it's based on lots of research as well as anecdotal evidence. So white people, men, people in higher education or who grew up in affluent areas that might feel more able to speak up in stressful environments or just in meetings, neurotypical people, people without a physical or mental disability, people who speak the native tongue of the area or that don't use sign language, heterosexual or cisgendered people, people without processing or learning divergencies such as dyslexia. Age, I find often depends on who the majority is in the room. So I've seen like groups of people who are younger and then exclude people that are older and don't always give space for people that are older. And I think it's very important to listen to our elders. It's something that's really lost in our culture. But then I've also seen the opposite, where younger people's voice is ignored because they're young and their opinions don't matter, kind of thing. So just bringing that awareness into the space. Other examples can be if you're from a colonial state, you might feel more confident to speak, and also nepotism. So if you're related to other people in the area, you might feel like you've got a stronger voice than somebody that's not. Lots to take in. But yeah, let it sit with you. Unconscious bias. So these are the ways in which, why I'm bringing that in is like, I do believe in the goodness of people, and I do think that people don't mean to like massively exclude people based on what I've just said. But there is unconscious bias as well, where it can be very subtle, but it can make people feel unwelcome. And just bringing awareness to that can kind of change it. So this is from university, and it defines unconscious bias, prejudice or unsupported judgments in favour of or against one thing, person or group as compared to another, in a way that is usually considered unfair. Many researchers suggest that unconscious bias occurs automatically as the brain makes quick judgments based on past experiences and background. As a result of unconscious biases, certain people benefit and other people are penalised. In contrast, deliberate prejudices are defined as conscious bias. So research examples of what unconscious bias looks like. So based on race, there's a book of Why I No Longer Speak to White People About Race, where there's so many examples and stories in it. It's really good to read that. But it talks about like even something as simple as somebody going to a friend with going to a party with their friend, and their friend's white and they're black, and they get ignored at the party, and their white friends like gets like, oh hello, hey, how are you, kind of thing. And just like something as simple as that can obviously have a huge impact on a person over time, kind of thing. And I've actually compiled a document about different things you can research as a white person to kind of become aware of how your race impacts other people, and what behaviours you might unconsciously have. If anybody's interested in receiving that, I'd be really happy to share it. It has like documentaries or articles or whatever way you find easiest to process information. Other examples of unconscious bias, so accent. There's, I don't know if you've heard of Loki, but he's a guy from Glasgow that brings a lot of awareness to about Scottish class. And I went to see him speak once, and he was using the example in Edinburgh about like if you're from Leith, compared to you're more likely to get arrested than if you have an accent from Marchmont, kind of thing, because you're more likely to get questioned and pushed and that kind of thing. So yeah, accent can mean a lot. So it's usually, and then accent's usually linked to class or educational background. And yeah, so that can be a way that we can unconsciously exclude somebody based on their accent. Physical appearance or disability, and neurodivergent people, so autism spectrum disorder or different things like that. Non-native speakers, so I have lots of friends that English isn't their first language, and they can feel like people think that they're a bit stupid just because they don't know English as fluently as a native speaker does, kind of thing. So yeah, that's just good to be aware of that as well. Sexual orientation or gender, learning or communication style. So like Leah said in the last minute about having dyslexia, and for me personally, like I never disclosed that in work because I was always like, oh, people might just think I'm stupid, I don't want to talk about it. But just from RSPB being very into diversity and inclusion and stuff recently, that I felt okay to talk about it in work and not be worried about judgment. So yeah, it's just an example about how when cultures change, it really supports people to open up, kind of thing, and feel supported. So just two examples, and yeah, I'm focusing on them because they're more like ones that I've experienced, I guess. But this was also from the Harvard Business Review. So the unconscious bias would be that smart people think on their feet. So what happens is the extroverted thinkers are happy to get new information in a meeting and start making sense of it by talking through it. But introverted thinkers make their best contributions when they've had time to process relevant data and space to choose words carefully and share thoughtful conclusions. So while the extroverted thinkers are buzzing away, the introverted thinkers are quiet, still processing the information. Extroverts often misinterpret this silence as disagreement, disengagement, or a lack of subject matter expertise, and often don't make the effort to bring the introverts into the conversation. So what you could do about that, for example, would be where if you just give a pause, like ask for a pause, like, okay, we're just gonna nobody speak for like 30 seconds to give people time and space to process what's going on. But other ways that like I can support that is to give information to people in advance, kind of thing, so they can process it in time, or to like follow up with things as well. Like, we're going to come up with this group agreement just now, but if you think about things after, then get back in touch with me, and things like that. And just another example, also from the Harvard Business Review. So the unconscious bias might be that men have more to contribute. So multiple studies have reached the same conclusion, that women are far more likely to get interrupted in meetings and their ideas are taken less seriously. It's so common that some researchers have created a taxonomy to explain everything from man-interrupting, which is interrupting a woman, mansplaining, a man interrupting a woman to explain something that she actually already knows, or proprieting, I can't even say that, taking credit for a woman's ideas. Obviously this is very gendered, but yeah, that was what the research, in the way the research was written. Yeah, and obviously these aren't like every single man or extrovert or whatever exhibits this. It's just more like, this is based on research and anecdotal evidence of what can happen, and for us all to be aware of that whenever we're working together in groups. So what can we do to in meetings to ensure that everyone feels able to contribute? So we're going to come up with a group agreement that has certain things in place to make sure we don't need to do 10, it doesn't need to be 10. I know that everybody's like an adult as well, and like I'm sure we don't need to do this in as much detail, but at the same time it is something that is really prevalent, and we're trying to work out ways for it not to be. So it is important to actually say things loud and clear, kind of thing, so everybody's on the same page. So I'm going to break you into groups again, and you're going to just like gather everybody's ideas, and then we'll come back to this and write them all up again. So I think for easiness sake, I'll just put you all back into your groups of 4 again. So does anybody have any questions before we do that? No. All good. Yep. Okay, here you go. Albert, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have a group before. Hi.
That's okay, no worries. I can put you into a group now. Did you get everything? When did you arrive again? I can't remember.
I arrived at a bit late, just around 7:30.
That's grand. So you saw the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, grand. Okay, so I'm going to, with my magic wand, assign you to a group. So just explain that you weren't in a group. I'll put you in a group. There's one with 3 in it. Okay. See you in a bit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think that's everybody back. I'm just going to. Okay, can you see that? Cool. Okay, so I'm just going to take notes, and if people want to just take it in turns to say some of the agreements that they came up with, and I can put it all in one place so you can see. But everybody's terrified to speak now because I just said that everyone dominates.
A virtual sticky note. Wow.
I know, that's the world. You can also write in the sidebar if that feels better.
I can say something. Something we talked about was, especially in birding, how often people new to birding feel very excluded. So an explicit statement saying that this is a group for people of all levels of birding experience to know that new people to bedding will be supported and are very welcome.
Nice, brilliant. Yeah.
I think one of our points probably links a bit with that. We talked about the use of sort of jargon and technical terms, and just ensuring that everybody understands what they mean. So I guess using simple language when you can, and if not, just making sure that, you know, the sort of technical stuff is explained really clearly so that everybody knows what's going on and what's been discussed, which I suppose again goes along with maybe levels of experience and expertise and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, brilliant. Cool. Anybody else?
Something our group talked about was making sure that we could, if someone was struggling to contribute, I kind of asked them like, hey, is there anything we can do to make it easier? Like specifically ask you questions that you can type, or to get someone to ask you specifically, or anything that can be made to make it easier for them to speak up.
Yeah.
That links to a conversation our group had, that we thought as an overall principle, everyone should have a chance to speak. But we also ended up thinking people should have a chance to not speak if they don't want to as well. And there's a risk of, particularly in a Zoom format, of putting someone on the spot when they're maybe not ready to contribute and so on. So I'm not quite sure how to resolve that. I think clearly we want to create space for anyone with an opinion to be able to voice it. And maybe thinking, are there other channels, so if someone does want to reflect on things or think about it, that they can actually come back later in an off Zoom way to offer an opinion in as well.
Yeah, totally. I literally couldn't speak on Zoom for like the first like 6 months of lockdown, so like bamboozled by it kind of thing. So like I totally understand when it's a bit overwhelming for people. But somebody put their hand up, but I can't. Whenever I'm sharing the screen, I can't see.
Yeah, that was me. I was just kind of bouncing back off those thoughts that other people have had. Would there be a way to make contributions anonymous? If it was a case of people didn't want to make points publicly and they didn't want their name to be associated to it. And then in terms of like...
Wait. Is your next point related to that one?
No, it's a separate point,
okay.
Sorry.
Okay, hold on. So let's keep that one in. So a way for people... I'm going to make these like look a bit nicer and stuff, like people to contribute anonymous. Oh God, this is where you can also make spelling. This is awful. And then the other one about
yes, it was about kind of people were talking about
not you, Ian, was it? What Ian was saying, was it? Yeah, about supporting people to speak, and also that it's okay for other people not to speak as well if they want to. Ian, is that what you were meaning?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute there. So everyone should have a chance to speak, but everyone should also have a chance not to speak if they don't want to. I guess it's more a chance to contribute maybe rather than speak, but that's maybe semantics. But.
Yeah.
Something that... Oh, sorry.
Okay, hold on. I'll come back to you after, Alex. The one way about when we were talking about different channels is that you can use the like you can type as well. You can type notes. I find that sometimes easier because if you don't know when to like even there, it's like hard to know when to come in. You can't see everyone. It's weird. Yeah, typing is helpful as well as a different form. And then was it Alex?
Yes. And my other point was kind of coming back to there's a lot of like burden jargon. So I was wondering, can we have like a group kind of glossary or something, just so people, you know, it's not dumbed down and it's actually a way of like really upskilling people so that they are kind of learning the terminology.
Yeah, that's right.
You know yourself, like if you go onto Google and try and find some of this stuff out, it does get into like very highbrow and you'll get people arguing on the internet about what things mean. So it's kind of like if we can keep it in-house and bring people along in kind of a really progressive way, and it's nice, you know.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, good idea.
So the chat's
Kate,
disabled.
I think Kate had a point.
Yeah, it was just checking whether or not anyone could see the chat. Can you see it, and can anyone type into it, or is it disabled?
It's telling me it's disabled.
Ooh.
Okay, because that's probably what's stymieing that. Because I think when you made me co-host, I could then type into it. But can I make another point? Is that okay?
Yeah, and I'll try and fix the chat when I'm not sharing the screen. I think I can't right now.
Okay, I'll see what I can do behind the scenes as well with that. I think it was just kind of talking about different ways of inputting and contributing. Kat from my group, or Kat, had come up with sort of the point about doing online kind of chats or emails, or kind of having a way of contributing that's in that way that other people can sort of share. So I wasn't going to mention it at the time, but what we're on just now, Jamboard, is really helpful for people to contribute anonymously as well, if everyone has the link. But I'm sure that's something that can be introduced as well.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking more about keeping in touch and ways to share information and that kind of thing as well. But yeah, it's good to keep this in mind. It'll be a bit clearer. Yeah, so keeping different people's learning styles or communication styles in mind is really great as well. Has anybody else got anything to add?
Somebody in my group, Laura, you made a good point, and it's gone in one ear and out the other. But maybe Laura, I think Laura has got a good point to contribute, but don't ask me what it was.
I don't know. I think.
Sorry, Laura. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm just trying to think now. I think like a couple of things that we talked about have already been mentioned. I think yeah, Michael mentioned about the jargon, and you mentioned about the I think it was Ian's point about making sure people are kind of included, but also don't have to speak if they don't want to. I guess the other thing, I think that was your point, B, was about sort of responding when you're responding to questions. And I guess this kind of links into the jargon stuff as well, as just like respond respectfully, even if, you know, you think somebody's asking a question that's kind of obvious, or just so that people do feel that they can ask even basic questions, and that there's really no stupid questions.
Yeah, that was it. Yes, no guffawing.
Totally. Absolutely, and yeah, I definitely hope that people
that was it.
I've got a lot of experience working with children who I still wouldn't think that the questions are stupid, like children in general, like working in schools and stuff. And this, yeah, I wouldn't even call them stupid questions, but I've got a lot of experience in responding to funny questions that might normally make you want to laugh. But yeah, so no, and yeah, everyone's learning here and stuff, so don't feel like there's a stupid question. I hope. Anyone else?
Yeah, just if we ever do meet physically in a place, that we're going to meet in areas that are accessible for people with different mobilities, and that you wouldn't need a private vehicle necessarily to get to.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, as a volunteer, you will get your travel expenses at least covered by RSPB. Okay, we'll give another minute.
We had one that sort of piggybacks on Ian's point, as the allowing people to speak or not speak based on preference and stuff like that. And I think that we've, at least in the past, I've experienced groups that in a large group like this, you get people who are happy to speak in front of everybody like this, and some people hate that idea. And I think these breakout rooms are a really good way of doing that. It allows smaller groups to maybe nominate somebody who's happy to chat. But it's a small enough group that it makes it a bit more like a conversation for the people who are unwilling to speak in front of a large group or don't find that comfortable. So I think the breakout rooms are a very good way of amplifying voices that don't communicate in quite the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there is, like, the stone thing is to encourage things to happen a bit more smoothly, but you can definitely just like pass if you're not for chatting. Receiving stone helps movements. Right. Okay, we've got 1 more minute doing this. So last comments, and then you can send me stuff and we can draw up something that people can still edit and that kind of thing. So have you got them?
It's just about promotional material or social media presence of the group. If there's pictures of the group activities and things like that, it should always not just show kind of the dominant groups in birding traditionally, and include a diverse range of people to show, you know, that this is an inclusive group.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Role modeling. Okay, we'll need to wrap that section up, but it's really, like, it's obviously a massive topic, and we can't talk about it in 10 minutes or whatever. So if you do have further reflections, then let me know. We can talk about what our communication platforms will be from now on. Kate, have you got something?
I've just seen that Sonia's put something in the chat. I don't know if you can see the chat when you're screen sharing. I don't know if Sonia, you want to share that, or do you want someone else to read that for you?
Yeah, that's fine. We discussed having like an agenda for each meeting, and so that people can like read through what will be going on in the meeting and can like think of points. And also that like when physical meetings come back, it would be really great to have like someone to take minutes for anyone who's not there. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's also why I've been recording these so people can watch them again, but obviously minutes are easier to like pick up on than watching the whole movie. And we'll be doing that just now in the working group, so like taking minutes and stuff. Okay, so speaking of which, we should probably move on. We might be like 5 minutes over at this point, if that's okay for people. Yeah, at the very end, we'll just be going over what we'll be doing next, so I can always email that to people. Okay, so I'm going to stop. Actually, I'm going to continue sharing this because this is what we're going to move on to now. I'm going to send you the link for this Jamboard. And as you can see, it's a document that you can add sticky notes to, you can add text to, so this is text here. You can draw kind of like that kind of on it, which I'm just showing this because some groups will be using it. And yeah, we're basically going to look at different working groups, and each group will have 3 questions to discuss, and you can write the little sticky notes. So on the left hand side, the sticky notes are here, which is what I've been doing. And the 4 groups are going to be people interested in casework. So that's looking at what developments are happening around them or in the city, and learning how to appropriately respond to the developments in a way that supports more Swift boxes to go into more new buildings or extensions or different things like that. So that's the casework one. There is a tree group that will be looking at planting trees within the city. There's a project by Edinburgh City Council called the 1 million tree city, and it's trying to plant like 1 million trees in the next 10 years. So we'll be looking at that and how we can plant trees in Edinburgh, because the swifts eat insects which are supported by the trees. Another group will be creativity, so supporting the Swift message in a creative way. And the final group will be social media. So I'll run through those again because that was a lot of information. So there is the tree group about planting trees. There's casework about responding to development plans within the city, so like writing letters. There's a social media group, and there's the creative group. And these are by no means that you're like in this group forever kind of thing. It's like from now until the next meeting next month, you're in that group, and you'll have some like activities to do as part of that group. So if you just want to decide what group that will be, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. So I think it was thanks for it. Here's the Jamboard. We don't need a certain amount in each group. I mean, at least a few in each group. But we'll, it doesn't matter who's in the group. I'll respond to what's in the group. So I'm just in the chat. So if you click on the Jamboard link just now, you need to use Internet Explorer. Is the best way to use it.
I'm on an iPad. Can I do this? Our laptop's more or less dead, is the trouble.
You should see the chat bar in the. You should. Is it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've requested access to it as well.
Do I have to do share screen?
No, you don't. Okay, so try this. It should be that anyone with this link can see it.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Where's the... Is that in email or on this screen or what?
It's on the chat. Can you see the chat on Zoom?
Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
Okay. So just checking everybody had that.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
And then I'm going to let you decide what group you go into.
It's loading my Jamboard.
Wonderful.
Oh, good Lord. Now I've got to download it onto... It's an app.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just downloading it now. It has 3...
On the Internet Explorer?
No, I'm on... I'm just putting in my Apple password. Weird. Okay. I'm going to get it from the App Store.
Katie, I've just sent you a request for access to the Google Jamboard. If you get that, could you just give me access just now, and I can do some wizardry behind the scenes and make it accessible to everyone?
Yeah. I think, okay.
Because it's currently view only rather than editing.
Okay.
Mine's just downloading from the App Store.
Okay, I've made it editor. Does that work? Does that work, Kate?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, I'm just having a wee think about what group we're going to be in.
Now I've got to sign in.
So there should be an editable link up on the chat now. So if you click on that, it should just take you into it, hopefully.
I got it, yeah.
Got it, Lee?
I'm poking it with my finger.
You know, as well, okay, so I've just, if somebody else in your group shares their screen, then you're going to see what somebody else is doing. Okay, so
I'm having to sign into Google at the minute. I don't know.
So I'll just ask if you can join two groups or switch groups later. And just for now, just for this month, just pick one, because there'll be like different activities to do at home, and you might need to meet your group again in between time. And just pick one, and yeah, you can change, like after this month you can do something totally different. So it's just this month.
I'm not able to join either. I'm just on a phone, so I can't get the Jamboard to work.
Can you see a screen whenever it gets shared?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So hopefully I can put create a few people into Grant's group. Maybe Grant and Dee go together and Kate goes with you to share her screen. So you can at least see what's happening within your group. Yeah. And a lot of people have already. No, okay. The questions are on the slides, so just slide across to see what slide your group is in. So I've written them on the chat so that you know. So the casework is slide 3, the creative work is slide 5, the social media is slide 8, and the true group is slide 11. So in your working group, assign somebody to keep time. There's 3 slides, and yeah, so spend about 4 minutes on each slide. So somebody keeping the time, and then you're writing minutes as well. You don't necessarily need to actually, because a lot of your information will be put in sticky notes onto the slides. But if there's any other things that happen, then just write that down.
How do we?
Sorry?
Sorry, no, carry on. I'm interrupting. Sorry.
And then if somebody wants to facilitate, which is basically just kind of making sure everybody has space to speak. It's not like necessarily doing anything. It's just like somebody's not speaking, then, or like if you notice somebody's trying to speak, it doesn't have space to, then try and facilitate that to happen. So you can just choose whenever you go into your groups, decide somebody to keep time, somebody to keep minutes if there are any extra words that won't go onto the Jamboard, and somebody to facilitate. Okay. Do you have any questions? Apologies for having any questions.
How do we join a group? How do we choose it?
Has it come up on your screen that there's 4 options for you to choose?
For the breakout rooms, Katie?
Yeah.
Is that not yet?
I can see it down in the bottom bar. There's a wee icon for breakout rooms.
Yeah, there we go. So if you're not seeing that, there's a 3 dots for more, and you should be able to get into that there.
So the 3 dots for more, what should that be giving me?
If you click on that, it should say, give you the option of join breakout room.
No. I think perhaps part of the trouble is I'm on an iPad.
Okay, but if you just want to wait, and then you can discuss the questions. And then we can just add I'll share my screen with you.
I'm not able to get into breakout room either.
Okay, we can have a wee team of people on iPads and phones. That's okay. I hope people can still edit it though. Can anybody who's still there, can you edit, are you able to edit the document?
Are you talking to those of us who aren't in a group?
No, I think people that are here, they're able to access it.
I can access Jamboard, but I can't get into a group.
I'm now in a group of 10 of us. Does that mean I've been begrouped, or have lots of people just dropped off the call?
A lot of people have gone into their working groups. So this is.
So we're the stuck remainders.
We're the rump. We're the rump. Yes. I'm in your group of 10. I can't get into a breakout room. Yeah.
That's fine.
Katie, I'm just going to go and join social media. But if you need me, just drop me a private message and I'll come back and help.
Do you know if people can edit the document yet?
I've sent an editable link to people, so hopefully, Christina, I've just sent you a link in the chat bar. Can you see that?
Yes, sorry, I can. I've just clicked on it again though, and it's kind of I'm on my laptop, so I feel like it should work, but it's not letting me kind of see anyone else in the group or edit. So I don't know.
Let's have a look.
I am able to edit the Google doc. Yeah. Well, I was able to create a post-it note on the wrong page and write something in it. So I assume the problem is my incompetence rather than anything else.
Christina, if you refresh the page, see if that has an impact.
Yes, I can either look at this group of 10, or I can come out of that and go into the Jamboard and I can edit it. But it's a bit awkward. I can't do both at once. Sorry, it's the iPad thing.
That's okay. No, right. Does everybody that's still here, do you want to just like, we'll just be a group here and we'll just decide what group to be in. And yeah, grand. And Kate, you're welcome to go to social media. Okay, does anybody here have a particular, oh, did we just join? No, we've got some. Okay, does anybody here have a particular preference out of creativity, social media, casework, or tree slides?
I would definitely not. I would like to do either casework or tree planting. I'll just say that.
Okay.
It's same with me. Those are the two that I'm interested in.
Sorry, I've just remembered I need to explain to the casework group what to do.
I just came in to ask that question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll leave.
Okay, can I explain to you what to do and you can say back?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the first slide is the map. And that's basically just for people to use the wee pen to write what postcode they're in. Because the casework gets given out in postcodes, so it's to avoid people overlapping what they'll be feeding back. And then the next slide explains the different things that we need to know about. There's like 3 lines. So if you, within your group, break yourselves into like groups of 2 and groups of 3 and like pick what one you're going to be focusing on. if that makes sense.
Do you mean for this, like just chatting amongst ourselves now, or for the next month?
For the first slide is to do now, and the second slide is I'm going to give each of the small groups material to read. They're then going to feed back to the larger group next month.
And if, like, say there's two people with the same postcode, do you want us to choose a different one so we cover more areas, or just?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'm going to abandon you because I found a way of joining the breakout room.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
It came up when I've forgotten her name is when she came in. Right. I have to choose between trees and casework.
Yeah.
Is one smaller than another? Can you see that?
Casework smaller than trees.
Okay, I'll head for that then.
Wonderful. Okay, remaining team. What's your preferences?
Hi, Katie. I would quite like to join the tree group, but I'm in this situation as well where I don't know what's going on with my laptop.
I think I can move you to actually.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. And then there were five people. Okay. I can still share my screen, and just like you don't need to go to another group. The four of us, five of us can talk about it, and I'll share my screen. So is there one particular one? I think casework would be a bit too complicated to do, but the social media creativity and tree slides are just discussion questions, so we can talk about them if you have a preference.
I just have a question because I live in London, so I don't think I can join like tree planting groups. Is it? But that I can help with creative or social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Would Ian and Christina, do you want to talk about creative or social media, or I could put Anna into the creative group and we could talk about something else?
Whatever. I mean, I prefer trees or case work, but I'm happy to have a chat about social media if that's useful, or creative if that's useful for you.
Yeah. Anna, why don't I put you into the creative group and you can speak to the creative. Okay. So, Christina, would you like to speak about trees? Did you have a preference for something else?
No, the trees one would be great. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So, where are we? So here is the. So we won't have time for all the questions, but we can do a few. Get all the millions of windows that are open in front of me. Okay. So, the first one is just if you like know anything about trees, basically, and it's just a bit of like sharing information. But yeah, swiftly insects. Most recent studies showed hoverflies, spiders, flying ants, small beetles were eaten by swifts. They got like a bolus, which is like insects stuck together with saliva. Insects are supported by trees and wildflowers. Birch and oak support lots of insects. But other native broadleaf trees are really great. So it's kind of just like a question about, do you know about native broadleaf trees and any other tree suggestions that we could plant?
So I tend to volunteer for a group called Trees for Life, so do quite a lot of tree planting in the Highlands. There's a great resource, there's an Edinburgh tree map, sort of web-based resource that isn't exactly right, because up in London Road Gardens, some of the trees are misnamed, but it's about 80% great. The one thing I would say, on the basis of what I've read about it, black poplar is considered one of the rarest native trees in Edinburgh. And yeah, I don't see it being planted. And it would strike me if that's one of the ones that's genuinely rare. Clearly, you'd have to get the genetic and seed stock correct But let's do the rare stuff.
Yeah.
The questions I would have here are around, I've got a wee patio garden, so I actually have some trees growing in pots, but clearly that's not as good in terms of biodiversity or carbon or anything as getting one in properly in the ground up a hill. And so how and where do we dovetail with other, in big plans, can I go, so are we talking garden trees, or is it getting into parkland trees? And parkland trees, I presume, would have more potential, but involves working with the Parks Authority and other organizations that have management rights in those spaces as well.
Yeah, so that's the next question. So we'll come back. You're jumping ahead. You're ahead of the game. Yeah, we'll talk about that in the next slide.
Then the other thing I would say, that I know we're here for swifts, but trees that are known to be good for other, so the waxwings will be here soon, so rowan and hawthorn and things like that provide, I guess it's every native tree is going to have a host of something valuable, so why picking and choosing?
I know, it's just a bit of a like talking point. I didn't know about black populars being rare in Edinburgh, for example, so it's kind of, it's good to gain.
Check that. That's my memory of an old conversation.
This time. Christina, do you have any ideas?
No, well, do we have any ideas? We're just interested to kind of learn more about.
Yeah.
We're reading. I'm reading the book.
I can't really hear you so well.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we be better. I'm like,
No, it's just I'm reading the book, The Hidden Life of Trees.
Oh, wonderful.
Learn. Yeah, Ian has lots of experience, so that's great. Yeah, so happy to listen. listen and learn from the experts.
Interesting to hear about that as a tree map, actually.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to the next question just so that we can answer Ian's question. That's okay. But yeah, the next session is about trees, so we'll learn much more. But it's just kind of a bit of a wee question to get people going. So this is the question about actually implementing it. And basically, like, we can't do anything right now because it's lockdown. But we can like plan something. And Ian, what you're saying about like garden versus whatever, like it really doesn't matter if you can plant it in your garden. It's amazing as well, kind of thing. So, we are, like, the question here is to see if there is anybody in the volunteer group that has direct links to any like volunteer groups, or like has an allotment, or like through work it has like their work has a garden at the back or something like that within the city. Especially like 1 million trees in Edinburgh City, like, yeah, it's green, but we're going to have to plant in not just lovely green spaces, it will need to be in everywhere, kind of thing, to get 1 million trees into the city. So yeah, we're kind of scoping out where, and then we can look into asking permission and writing letters to the right people and that kind of thing. So it's a bit of like scoping out the area kind of thing. So the other group are putting in, yeah, Friends of Ingerleaf, Water of Leaf, yeah. So it makes things faster when people actually know somebody directly to be able to like make up a plan.
I'm a volunteer at Edinburgh and Lothian's Regional Equality Council, so
cool.
We're currently trying to set up a sort of community garden and workshop. So I guess we're going to be trying to make different partnerships and yeah, communicate with a lot of different community gardens around Edinburgh to start it up. So I guess I can, while networking there, I can also ask about tree planting and maybe try and encourage more tree planting.
And what was the name of that?
So the charity is LREC, so it's Edinburgh and Lothian's Regional Equality Council. It's a bit of a mouthful.
I think I've heard of them. So gardening project. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Wonderful. Yeah, it's obviously like it's very jarring right now because it's like I can't make any plans obviously because we don't know when we'll be allowed to do anything, and the tree planting season ends at the end of March, so potentially we could. So it would kind of be good to know when things are open. Okay, straight away these are the people that ask. This is what we need to do, kind of thing. So just kind of yeah, good to know you're doing that project, and yeah.
I'd venture that optimal tree planting season runs till the end of March. Trees are reasonably happy going in the ground at any time of the year. So,
yeah.
But the question I would have here is around, I presume someone is being resourced. If the council has said they're going to plant 1 million trees, maybe their plan is for hundreds of small community groups to just run with that and be helped. But if there's a broader plan around it, it might be useful us to engage with that to make sure that the right types of trees are going in for our purposes rather than exotics and so on. And you know, trees are brilliant, but the right tree, there's starting to be a bit of a backlash in the whole the carbon world around the wrong trees going in on bogland and non-native species going in and too crowded and not good for wildlife. I can't imagine we'd run into that trouble in the city where it's a bit more bespoke, but just to be aware that, yeah, so if someone else is going to, you know, for all of us to plant 27 of the right trees, but it turns out that someone else has got the contract to plant 500,000 and puts 500,000 Sitka spruce in and Holyrood Park, that we could maybe be more influential by influencing what other people are doing as part of that thing, as opposed to doing our own stuff, even though it's brilliant fun and good for everyone to get out and get your hands dirty and actually plant a tree.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it, like, even for the council to count appropriately how many trees are going out and where that effort's coming from and that kind of thing, it is really important. And speaking to the Edinburgh biodiversity officer this week about the project, because I knew about it ages ago, but I thought all the information came out about it last January, so I thought it just had been forgotten about because of COVID and stuff. But it's still progressing, and I've asked her to give me a update about what's going on so that we can link in a bit better into the project. And I would assume like whoever's in charge will know enough to be planting native trees, I hope, in the city.
Well,
but I know, yeah.
You would be very surprised. In London Road Gardens, there's new Sitka being planted in there with all the beautiful protection around it as well. So no,
yeah.
I've also seen in London, actually in a native tree walk, what was meant to be the juniper actually had a cypress tree planted, where the poor person in the council sourced from a garden centre a juniper and the garden centre gave them the wrong tree. So for a couple of years on the native tree walk, there was actually a labelled juniper that was no such thing. Now, that was a few years ago, but just to flag that people, depending who's resourcing it and putting things in place, things can go wrong.
I know, yeah. I work for a woodland like close to me in Auchendenny, that if we can't find anywhere else, we can go tree planting there. It's Midlothian, but like same. But it's like community owned and stuff. But yeah, I've heard a lot of disastrous tree stories that are like, why? But yeah, hopefully, I think the Woodland Trust movement of giving out 200 native trees for community groups, which is what I would hope that we could apply for. Yeah, that can be really brilliant towards getting the right trees in. I think I need to call it quits because I think that we've already gone over our time. Sorry, I hope that's okay. Did Christina, did you want to add anything?
No, it's really interesting. So thank you.
The next week question was just like the positives of having trees in the city, but that was kind of like, because I don't know how timings worked out for all the other groups and that kind of thing. So yeah, cool. Anyway, we'll invite everybody back now. I'll stop sharing the screen.
Sure, Katie. Is the person, oh no. Do you have a contact in the council that you are going to speak to about the information on tree planting? Well, yeah, okay, that's fine. No, I was just checking. That's great.
Just looking for Gemma, who's in my group.
Myself. Is that everybody back? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. I hope that worked out okay. Obviously, if we were just like in a room and you could sit in your little working groups and I could go between you, that would be much easier. But we're not. But so just I need to ask some questions from the casework group. If you could tell me the names of people that you decided to be in group 1, 2, and 3.
Me and Gemma are in group 1.
Oh, yeah, group 2.
Me and Alba. I think Alba, you went for group 2, did you?
Yeah, I was in group 2.
Okay. And then group 3.
I think that's myself and Catherine.
Laura and Catherine. So there's just the 6 of you, and
yeah.
And where Catherine with the K, R-Y-N, Catherine Henderson, yeah.
Yep, that's right.
And Laura Thompson. Gemma, what's your surname?
It's Grossart, sorry.
Right there, yeah. So many people on the screen. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so I am going to just go through how we're going to keep in touch. Yeah, you obviously went through some questions and came up with some answers that I'd like to read through and then get back to you as a group. So I've set up a thing on Microsoft Teams, which is that I know, beat your face. I'm like, okay, you can access Microsoft Teams by any PC and any Mac. You don't have a PC, you don't have a laptop.
Well, yeah, I'll explain in an email. We're in a bit of a, Lisa's in Australia, I'm in a bit of a technological meltdown. But anyway, I'll email you about it. I won't spend time.
Well, maybe I'll put you and Gemma in touch by email.
Yeah, sorry, but our laptop's half dead.
Okay, maybe just for easiness sake, I'm going to put the emails of all the different groups in touch with each other and set the questions. So we'll just disregard Microsoft Word for now, so it's too much and it's too late.
I'm sorry about this.
No, it's okay, don't worry. Yeah, so basically there'll be little activities set until the next time we come round, and it won't take up too much of your time kind of thing. It'll just kind of be you creating a team together and doing some plans. And the casework group, though, you'll be reading information, and then if you're comfortable with it, presenting it next time as a kind of this is how we're going to do casework. I'll obviously be here to support you to be able to do that, but it will just really help you to be able to get to know things really well. And then the tree group as well, I'm going to ask different questions for you to present in the next time. So it'll end up being one slide for 2 people kind of thing. So it won't be too much information. And the social media and creativity group, you don't need to present anything next time, but just give us a check-in into what you've been up to. Okay, I think.
When will be next time? Next week?
Yeah, no, next time, so they're once a month, the
All
meeting. The next time will be the 16th of February
Right.
from 7 till 8:30 p.m. I can email you this information.
Yeah, okay, good.
I'll just leave that out, it's too much. Yeah, I'll get in touch with you in individual email threads about what like kind of home activity you're to do as a small group. And yeah, don't get too worried about it. It's not too much extra work. It is just like maybe a bit of reading or something like that. But yeah, this is us like actually doing stuff and that kind of thing. So beyond the meetings. And then there's two other things I wanted to let you know about. That there's yeah, the Nest Box workshop that is penciled in for the 14th of February. It's not confirmed yet. We're trying to like work out logistics and stuff. Again, you're very welcome to come, and if there's appetite or if people can't make it, then we can repeat it as one of the volunteer trainings, so like just for us. But you're also welcome to come to the 14th as well. And the other thing is there's a free wildflower identification course that's come up that you can sign up to get the videos, but I'm guessing some people here will be interested in it. Links to swifts in terms of wildflowers, equals insects equals swifts, and we'll be talking about wildflowers in April. So I can put all this information into follow-up emails, and yeah, cool.
Great.
Katie, can I just double check? Tuesday the 16th, is that the next meeting?
Yeah.
I'm just putting it into the chat box.
Wonderful. Yeah. Jazz, no, that's just for me to see where everybody is, kind of thing. Where everybody is on the map of casework, to be able to yeah, to see where the casework group is and where we can cover, because there's more people interested in casework that aren't here tonight, so I need to add them in just to make sure everybody doesn't overlap. So it was more about the splitting into groups, and then I'll send each group a document to read, and then you'll present that next time.
We kind of split the postcodes up between us, so have we done that slightly wrong then?
No, that's right. Like it's better to have one person per postcode, because you don't want to send like two people sending to the one development thing, because they'll just start to ignore you if you send too many emails, kind of thing. So that was right.
And we can just let go of one of our postcodes. If there's other people joining the group, we can just shed a couple or something like that.
Sorry,
yeah.
Oh, okay, I just worked out what you mean.
So
okay,
that's fine. Yeah, we can just shed.
Yeah. We can do it again next time, unless you just want to edit it now and just like write your name or something beside it, or just pick one postcode and circle that kind of thing.
We've allocated on the document. We've each got 4 postcodes because we thought 6 was the total number of people. Mm-hmm. But if you say there's people not here that want to join the casework, then we'll just need to shed a few postcodes, and we can sort that out later when we know. Yeah.
Okay, so the next meeting will be about casework and trees, and there'll be people in our group presenting, and then I'll be adding stuff as well. Yeah. So I'm going to stop now because we're way over, and I'm so sorry.
No, you've kept so calm under duress.
Okay, not on the inside. Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming. I know it's like such a task to sit on Zoom in the night after being online all day, probably. Thank you so much. And yeah,
thank you.
If anybody has any other.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Katie?
Yeah?
Sorry, I keep forgetting to say, you've been to my school.
Oh my God, Leslie! So
yeah. I kept forgetting to say.
Oh,